Welcome to the Reschool'd podcast, the show that discusses all the things that schools may have missed, with your hosts AJ Kuti and Jason Gordon. Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. We are the Reschool'd podcast, the show that discusses all the things that schools may not have prepared you for. As always, I'm AJ, and sitting across from me, Jason. Jason, how are you doing?
Doing great today, AJ. Beautiful morning. Coming back from vacation break. So yeah, it's a good one. How about you?
It's nice. I'm still trying to get through the semester. So our end of this, we have residency this coming up weekend. So all of our projects, presentations, everything is pretty much due this coming weekend. So I'm scrambling trying to get that done.
So if anybody out there believes for a second that we don't feel your pain when it comes to school, the end of the semester and all that stuff, AJ is a living example that we experience it just like you do. And AJ's not talking about just finishing up his teaching semester. He's going through it as a student too, so he sees it from both sides.
Yeah, I'm trying to survive the student side of it.
Would you say you have three papers due?
I have three
within
papers
the next
and
week?
4 presentations that have to be done by this weekend.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I got a lot of them done.
If you're not in college yet, this is what you have to look forward to.
Yeah.
End of semesters where it's project after project after project plus paper after paper. So
yeah,
there you go.
Fun.
Right.
A lot of fun. Well, today's episode is going to be an interesting one. So we got a listener question, and I felt like let's just play. Let's have some fun. I think the question was just meant for maybe like a quick question, but we're just going to make a whole episode out of it. The question was, what is your fondest memories? Or what is your fondest memory, I guess you would say, from college?
Oh, man, that's a tough one.
What you think about that? You think we can make an episode out of that?
Oh, definitely. Well, it's going to be more than one memory, I would say.
It's going to be the good, the bads, and the uglies.
So before we jump in, though, let me remind everybody, check us out on our website, reschool'd.com. That's where you're going to find our latest episodes. You'll be able to see the past episodes that may interest you. You can search on there. Plus, make sure you're giving us those likes on your favorite social media app. And, of course, social media, right? We're going to need to, topics to talk about in the future, and we want to talk about what you care about hearing about. So, anyway, that being said, look us up.
Yep. Well, let's get into it. I guess the quick question, we're just going to lump everything together because it's just going to be us talking back and forth and just having an old chit-chat with each other. So fondest memories, again, these are, the goods, the bads, and the uglies. These are things that's just, I guess you would say, the most memorable time or times from your years in college. So do you have any off the top or?
Well, see, it seemed like college was in phases, right? Mm-hmm. Year by year, it was something different. Certainly my studies abroad. So my very first study abroad was, I had never left the country, and I spent a semester in Costa Rica. And as you can imagine, if you know anything about Costa Rica, it is nothing but beaches. And when you go inland from the beaches, you get to volcanoes and rolling hill type mountains. It was just amazing. And live with a family, all that kind of stuff. That was without question the highlight of my college career initially, because it opened up a whole new world for me. Of course, and I will say this, there were some tough things that happened there. I actually got in a wreck riding with the family I was living with and hurt my knees really badly. So I jammed my hip really badly. So I was out of commission for a good while. I had a couple of torn ACL, NCLs from it. And yeah, but even though, right, as painful as that experience was, it was still the time of my life. And honestly, if I knew it was going to happen again, I would still do the exact same thing again. So that was my first highlight in college. I don't know. What about you? What's your first highlight?
I have a lot of them. Like, it's just like thinking back when I first saw this question, there's so many things that came to mind. I think probably mine was one of mine. I'll just stay on the same track yours was on is the study abroad. So I did the study abroad for a couple weeks. We went over to France with a group from the college, and that was fun just because, one, we spent a week in Paris, and then we spent a week in another smaller city that we were kind of going into it hoping to get maybe like a sister college out of it. And but that was a great experience because not only did one of the guys that went with us, my best friend who was from France, he was able to take us around and see kind of the non-touristy stuff. But we also had, the language berry carried covered and all that kind of stuff. But just the fun stuff. The we went to a wine tasting, and the wine tasting was an incredible experience because we got to taste, some of the best wine that France had to offer, and it was wonderful wine. But
Wow, that is saying a lot. The best wine that France has to
yeah,
offer.
it was good. But have you ever been to a wine tasting
Oh yeah.
where they teach you how to drink the wine? Where
Mm-hmm.
they
So I was in food and beverage in college, so we did a lot of them. Then I studied abroad again down in Chile later in my college career, and that was after I'd been working in the restaurants for a while and gained some appreciation of wine. And of course, it's on the same what do you call it longitude
Mhm,
as people don't realize that as Australia.
mhm.
And I always get that mixed up. Do you have to do that latitude, longitude?
Latitude
Right.
is the up, so it's on the same latitude as
Right. No,
Australia.
no, it's on the same longitude, right? Because Australia's
Latitudes go
around.
across and longitudes go up and down.
Oh, longitude. So,
Yep,
okay, so I
yep,
have it backwards. Yeah,
yep,
it's like I'm like one of those people who have to say which hand do I write with,
yep.
you
Mhm.
know. But I always get latitude, longitude mixed up. But okay, so it's on the same latitude as Australia. So the wine's really amazing there, right? The grapes grow very well. So anyway, yeah, drank a ton of wine, became a real aficionado by the time I got out of college.
I just
Yeah,
never.
but
So that was where I learned. Okay, so you're supposed to hold it by the base. You're supposed to swirl it. You're supposed to smell the aromas, and then you're supposed to put it in
mhm.
your mouth, taste it, and spit it back out. And I'm thinking that's
Well,
the
see,
dumbest
see,
thing I've ever heard.
they never really taught me like that, right? Yeah, they tell you to spit it out, but if you really enjoy the
We
wine,
did
you got to
not.
get that feeling in the back of your throat,
Yeah,
right,
exactly.
where it goes down. So,
Yeah, I we definitely did not. But no, that was such a cool experience. And then like being able to go to the bars. They had one of the bars, I think I mentioned this on another episode. One of the bars had an American music trivia night, much like we have trivia nights here, but over there, but it was all American like music. And we thought, man, we're gonna go crush this. We're freaking Americans. We better. They kicked our butts. I mean,
oh
they
yeah,
knew their stuff.
don't mess with serious trivia, people, man. It
No.
doesn't matter. There's no winning that game.
So yeah, that would
So.
be probably that's one of my top memories that I can remember is the
So,
trip to
so
France.
the takeaway from both of those is you have to study abroad while you're in
Oh
college.
man,
If you
yeah.
can, by any stretch of the imagination, make it happen. I know it's difficult, life, family, everything comes at you fast, but it is really. And everyone says, oh, I'll be able to travel later in life. There'll be plenty of time for that. There really is not.
No.
Not to the same extent, not the way you can do it in college, where doing it as cheap as possible, living in a hostel, just backpacking around with friends where you have so little responsibilities. You really do never get that opportunity the same way again. So anyway, highly recommend. Top notch for both of us.
Yep.
You got to study abroad in college.
You got
What's another one? Another really good memory.
Yeah, I know. And
Um,
this is interesting because we just saw this question right before we came on, so we didn't really have any prep time. So this is just really coming off the cuff.
well, I got one that reminds me from this weekend. So
I got you.
I'm from South Carolina, and the in-state rivalry is Clemson and
Oh
University of South
yeah.
Carolina.
Uh huh.
Well, University of South Carolina caught a very hot hand at the end of the season. They beat a very good team in Tennessee, and then they beat a very good team in Clemson this weekend. So they won the rivalry matchup. A lot of celebration around the state for Carolina fans, that
I
is.
imagine.
And, well, when I was at my college, and I'll say it was College of Charleston, we didn't have a football team. We had a basketball team that was pretty decent over the years for the size of the school. And we were kind of known as a giant killer during those years. And we knocked off a couple of big teams. We knocked off Michigan at one point. We knocked off University of North Carolina
Holy crap.
at one point. And both of those led to people just pouring into the streets. All the college students running around having a great time. And, we were running all around the town. And crazy enough, it never snows in Charleston, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was during that time we got this freak snowstorm as well. And I just remember everybody running around the streets. People did crazy things like turning over cars and stuff
Of
like
course.
that. And anyway, that was a pretty memorable time period. when all that was happening, and a guy I became friends with later on was one of them that made the news for streaking through the streets. And
Oh, nice. That's good to be.
The cops cornered him, and he climbed a light pole.
That's awesome.
And all the college students were standing around pelting the cops with snowballs as they were arresting him.
That's hilarious. That's crazy.
So yeah, there was some good memories. Maybe not quite as good for him.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. He probably looks back at it now and goes, "That was a pretty wild ride."
Yeah, probably fallen off the police record by now. So.
Yeah.
What's next for you? What's another good one?
So I'm trying to think, because I have a couple of them that come to mind. Probably one of the craziest things that happened is, so I've said this many times that, with ADHD, my classes, it was harder for me to focus on my classwork. I wasn't somebody who was striving to be, 4.0 GPA. I was just trying to get out. I remember having this one class, and it was one of those ones that was not in my major. So I was, once I switched over from chemistry to business, you have your major classes, but you still have to take those kind of ancillary classes like psychology and history and all those kind of things, your core classes.
Oh, yeah.
And so I remember having this psychology class, and everybody's like, "Oh, you need to take this professor." And I was like, "All right, cool." And I took him, and he was a great professor. He knew his stuff, unbelievable guy. He had, I believe, retired or has more or less sent in his retirement papers, I guess you would say, or told the college that he was quitting or retiring. But they didn't have anybody to fill in the next semester, so they pretty much said, "Can you just come back for one more semester?" And everybody's like, "You need to take him, you need to take him." It's an easy A. To which, after I took that class, I beg to differ that it was an easy A. Easy A is you have no work to do and you get an A. I piddled around. I didn't take things seriously. I didn't study for any of his tests. And by the end of the semester, I think I ended up coming out where I had a C. And I also had a C in another class. And actually, this was before it was in business, because I was taking organic chemistry.
Oh, so, wow.
But
which, for everybody out there who has not started college, has no experience with college science, organic chemistry is a tough one.
That's the widowmaker. That's the one that usually takes people out of pre-med and puts them into something else.
Yeah, it is a bear of a course.
So I had C's in both of those classes. I had a C in OChem and a C in psychology. And I've said this multiple times, at the time where I was going through college, I had hope, which you had to have a 3.0 minimum, but they only checked it so many hours. So the 30 hour, the 60 hour, and the 90 hour mark. And this would have been right at my, I think, 30 hour mark. And so I knew they were going to check it. Well, if I had 2 C's, that pushed me under the 3.0 threshold. And I knew that I was going to have to figure out how to get both classes to a B, or figure out if one of them would give me an A. But I went to him because he was like I said, he was a nice guy. He was just a genuinely nice guy. I wish I would have tried harder. I should have. But I went to him and I was like, "Hey, look, I screwed up in your class. I apologize. Is there anything I can do to make this a B?" I said, "I really need this for hope. I'm going to lose hope if I don't have it. And this is only step one." And he was like, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, in all honesty, I have to get you and another professor to see if I can get it to a B. And the other one's it's not going to happen," kind of thing. And I'll never forget this. He was sitting in his desk and he leans back and he puts his feet on the desk, which, at that moment he was just, OG, old school. But he puts his feet on the desk. He says, "What do you really want?" I said, "What do I really want?" I said, "I really would love to have an A, so that way I don't even have to go talk to the other professor." And he goes, "I'll tell you what, I'll give you an A if I never see you again." And I said, "Thank you." And I turned around and walked out and never saw him again.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I was like, holy crap. And sure enough, when finals came out, I had an A.
So you need to put a disclaimer on that, because
yeah, that don't happen all the time. Yeah.
Do not expect that.
Never. I didn't expect it at whatsoever. But
yeah, that is not the norm. You can expect, if you go to most professors' offices and ask for a letter grade bump, that
2 letter grades from a C to a B and a B to an A.
Yeah, that don't even dream of
Yeah.
that. But
Oh.
if you ask for one letter grade book,
yeah.
you're probably going to be sent away disappointed. So
Well, and so again, a lot of it had to do with the fact that he was just retiring. It was his last semester. He just didn't care. So it was like the perfect storm for me.
Well, good for you both.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I've let people work their way up to another letter grade before by giving them extra work.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. I make them write an entirely new paper, and it has to be spot on.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden they can earn those extra 2 or 3 points to get them up to the next letter. But if it's anything like, midway through, like if an A is 90 and you've got an 85, if you come to me, you better come with
Guns a-blazing.
You better come with some idea of some massive undertaking where you can show me you have mastered this material. Otherwise, that's a no-go.
Yeah, I was floored. Like for him to say, "If I never see you again, I was bye," and I took off.
Apparently, he loved you, AJ.
Yeah, clearly
you were his favorite.
Yeah.
Now that's a great story.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
That was pretty memorable. What was another one from you?
So there was during my, I want to say, sophomore year. Okay, went through freshman year, sophomore year. My suite mates from my first year and I, and some old friends that actually I'd known longer than that, got into playing golf. And I've never been a golfer. Not a good golfer. Never going to be a good golfer. I'm not going to play enough golf to ever be good. Okay. But during this period in time in our life, we love to go out and play golf and have fun. And, I just had a cheap set of clubs, whatever. But you could show up to the local municipal course, which was just a few minutes away from the school. And they changed it during the year, with daylight savings times and all that. But at different times of the year, you could walk as many holes as you could walk for $5 after, like, say during the summer,
Twilights. Yeah, I love those.
7 p.m., the twilight. But you could always, we were pretty quick. We could play a solid 9 holes any given time. And sometimes if we were really getting after it, we could get 10, 12 holes in by the time the sun set and they ran us off the course. So anyway, we used to do that. And during one winter, I had a real hothead. He was from Maine, right? And I used to pick on him, a lot about it. But he gets so spun up about his golf game because he grew up playing golf, loved it, all that kind of stuff, but still wasn't that awesome. But he took a Taylor driver, which even then that was, a few $100, and hit it into the drench. Okay.
Oh.
Boom. He hit the ball in the drench and he was mad. Got another one out, hit it in again. And he got another one out, says, if I hit this one in, I'm throwing this club in after it. Bloop. Dropped it right in the drench. So he throws that TaylorMade as hard as he can out towards the middle of the pond. And me, being the redneck that I am / was, immediately says, if I go get that, it's mine.
Of course, yeah.
He said, that's fine. I don't want it anymore. So it happened to be winter.
Oh, I bet you it was freezing.
I had to crack the ice right on the edge of the water. And there was nobody on the course because it was so miserably cold. There was some powdered snow around the edges. I mean, it was rough. So I stripped down to my skivvies right there on the golf course. And I said, I'm going to do this. And I got a running start at it, which, by the way, don't ever do that.
Yeah.
So when you change your temperature that fast, right? But I wasn't going to tiptoe in that cold water.
No, yeah, you got to just
So
go.
I was like, I got to do this, right? But when you change your temperature that fast, you go from warm out there, swinging a golf club, walking those holes, carrying your bag, because, you didn't have a cart. We didn't take a cart. We carried our bags. So I was warm, and I go to freezing cold. It almost made me pass out.
Oh, yeah. Imagine that.
I wouldn't say I got about 15 feet out there, soaking wet, and my head started spinning. I was this close to passing out, and I immediately turned tail back and made it to the shore. And, of course, at that point in time, it was a little scary, but I, of course, I recuperated really quickly. And that was the end of my round of golf because I was freaking freezing. But anyway, looking back on it. But after every golf match, we had this thing, we were all cheap. We're all broke college students. We would go to this Italian chain called what, Fazoli's.
Yeah, yeah, I know what
You
you're talking
ever
about. Yeah,
heard?
yeah.
And they gave out free breadsticks. So you could order a $3 spaghetti marinara and get all the breadsticks you wanted. And that was our celebration after every golf
That's
match.
awesome.
Right. So anyway,
I had a similar story granted, I didn't go after it, but there was a guy in our town who threw a golf tournament as a fundraiser for a kid's home. And it was just an annual thing. Everybody knew it, but he never played in it because he wasn't a golfer. But he was rather wealthy. And so for some reason this year, he's like, I'm going to play in it. And he went out and he bought brand new clubs, good clubs, brand new bag, all this kind of stuff because he was going to play. And he gets going and he's not doing apparently as good as he thought he should. And he got mad. Like he got just so mad. And he tossed his entire bag in the lake. Like the entire bag.
Oh, that's Caddyshack style right there.
Yeah. And he was just so mad. And then he found out afterwards that when he threw it, he realized his car keys were in that bag. So he had to pay somebody. I think he paid somebody like $500 to go dive in and get the bag, and they can keep the clubs if they wanted to, but he had to get his car keys out.
That is hilarious.
It was great.
If I'd done something like that, my phone would have been in there.
Yeah, mine too.
I mean, how many times have we seen where somebody gets pushed in the pool?
Oh, yeah, of
course. Gets ahead of themselves. A wild person just runs out there and jumps in the pool and cannonballs, and then realizes they have their phone in their pocket.
And you looking back, like how many times that's happened to me, and then now all the phones are waterproof, so yeah, it helps.
Yeah, but boy, for a while they weren't.
You're right.
Near water, they were done.
You had to go stick it in rice. All right, so my next one, this one came up to mind. So when I was in college, and I've mentioned this before, I was part of a team where we had to go present stuff in front of CEOs and stuff like that about what we've done in the community to promote business and different aspects of business. And part of that was they would hold these conferences, and they would they would choose some students, they'd pick some students, or the college would pick it for them to send them to these conferences. And one year I went for a credit counseling seminar. So it was like a 3-day retreat. We go up there on a Saturday, and then the classes are on. No, we go up there Sunday morning. Classes were on Monday. We left Tuesday. Mm-hmm. And it was in New York City. And I thought, okay, cool. Yeah, I'll go. I mean, it was paid for. Might as well. So we go up there, and it just so happened to be. And now we knew this a while back. Like we knew it far in advance that this was going to happen. So it wasn't like I knew going into this was going to, but I knew that it was Super Bowl Sunday. That Sunday that we went, it was Super Bowl Sunday. So I thought, oh, that'd be cool. We'll be able to go kind of have fun. It was also the year that the Patriots at the time went 16-0.
Oh, wow.
And if you remember that year, they went 16-0 and made it all the way to the Super Bowl, and they played the New York Giants in the Super Bowl. So I'm sitting in New York City on Super Bowl Sunday when the Patriots are playing the Giants. And so we're sitting in Times Square at one of the places there, and the Giants beat the Patriots. That was one of the coolest things because they had just beat the undefeated team. And you talk about a party.
Oh, man.
We went outside to Times Square, and it was the biggest party I've ever seen or been a part of. And we had classes the next morning. We had all these and man, we didn't go to bed.
Did you even go to sleep before classes the next day?
We didn't get back to the hotel until about 4 a.m.
Wow.
And we had to be up by like 6 to get ready for class, which started like 7:30. And man, that next night was like we were dead. All through the classes, we were dead. But then after the classes, we were like, this is our last night. Let's go. They're still partying it up. We're going to have some more fun. And man, that was such an incredible experience to be able to be in New York City when the Giants won, beat the undefeated Patriots. It was a crazy situation.
That's amazing. So sticking with that whole party theme, So I got to combine these two. So this is still one of my favorite memories from college, and it really had nothing to do with college.
Mm-hmm.
My brother is graduated a year before me. Okay, and he and a couple of our other buddies said, "Well, we got to celebrate. Some of us graduate and that type of thing. Let's fly to Europe
Oh
and
yeah, let's
just
just go.
see what happens." So we did. We didn't have much of a plan. We flew into Europe, and when we flew into Austria, and so this was the end of my junior year, right? So I had just finished my last exam, and I went and got on a plane with a little small backpack on my back. That's all I had. And we all hit Austria, and we immediately bought a Eurail ticket
Mm-hmm.
and we went all over. We went down and back up. We hit the Cannes Film Festival when it was there. It just so happened that time.
Oh
It was
wow.
that time of year. The Grand Prix was going on at the same time. We swung through there in Monaco. We What else? And the whole time we were sleeping on the train, meeting cool other people that were backpacking, and as they said from Dumb and Dumber, the wine flowed like beer.
Oh yeah, of course.
Right? It was just, and we were sleeping on the train everywhere, and it was just the most amazing experience. We were dog tired the whole time from all the partying and all the just walking around and seeing and stuff like that. We'd pop in the hostels to sleep for a few hours, shower up, and keep on going. And so we did that the whole time, and we got to the end when we were about to fly out, and we were so tired we couldn't keep our eyes open. So we crash in back. We're back in Austria. We crash in a Starbucks, and we all just sit down in the seats, and fall asleep. Well, apparently that's not something they allow you to do there. So the manager comes and throws us out, right? And we're so dog tired. And at that point in time, I forget which Star Wars movie it was coming out, and it was in German theaters. So we were like, boom, perfect. So we went into Star Wars. I don't even remember walking into the theater. I was so tired. I didn't hit the seat well. When they cut off those lights, I slept through the whole movie. I woke up during Yoda's fight scene where he's fighting Darth Vader or whatever, and it cuts his arm off.
Uh-huh.
All right.
Yeah, I have no idea. I haven't watched it.
Anyway, so I just wake up and Yoda is all of a sudden, as slow as Yoda moves, right? And Yoda is flipping around with the lightsaber. I'm like, what in the world did I miss?
What am I on?
This is young Yoda. So anyway, that was one of those, but it was with college buddies and my brother and stuff. And that was one of those college memories that I'll keep with me forever. That was an amazing one.
Yeah, those are, you gotta love those. I mean, those spontaneous things.
Uh-huh.
I was going to talk about too. Like my spring breaks were memorable because I went to Panama City for all 4 years. Redneck
you
Riviera,
did real spring break.
Yeah, and I did that for all the years of my college, and that was a ton of fun.
You didn't ever get arrested,
no, we were good. We just we did some stupid stuff, but it was within our group. It wasn't anything major. Like we weren't going to the bars and doing something stupid, but that's memorable. All the couple years I played in soccer for the college was memorable. Those kind of things. I'm trying to think. There was. Let's see. Yeah, I don't. Those. The thing that keeps coming to my mind is the spring break ones. We just had a ton, or the fraternity. Oh, that was a good one. So that probably is this might be my number one because it's one that we always, when we get together with buddies, it's the one we always kind of reminisce on. And I think I may have mentioned it on a previous one, but so when I played soccer, we were very close to the other athletic teams. So the volleyball girls, the baseball guys, the softball girls, the other girls soccer team, those kind of things. We always hung around, but we were super close with the volleyball girls. And so it was Halloween one night and we were all together at at a party, and they were like, we want to go do something scary. And you know how all towns, small towns, have that stupid ghost story where, like, if you go here, you turn your car off, you honk the horn 4 times, something scary will happen. You go to the bridge,
you'll fall off a cliff.
Yeah.
And then,
So I was like, oh, this is perfect. So the one of the girls was like, we just want to go do that. And I was like, well, there's one in our town. And I didn't know, couldn't remember it. So I started making up stuff. It's like, yeah, you go to this bridge and you turn your car off and you put your keys on the thing and you call out her name, which I didn't know her name. I just made up a name. I said, and you're supposed to hear how she died, and you're supposed to see her ghost. And in my head, I'm thinking, I've got this. This is going to be the greatest thing ever. So they're like, oh, cool. I'll call the girls. You know, the girl was like, I'll call the other girls. You get your friends together. We'll go do this. And I was like, cool. And so when she left, I called a good buddy of mine. I called him. I said, look, dude, and you got to understand, this guy is 6'4", about 280, 300 pounds. He's a big dude. I said, dude, I need you to do me a huge favor. This is Halloween night. I said, I need you to do me a big favor. I need you to go get somebody, get a girl, dress her in white, get her ready. I said, I need to go get your chainsaw and take the chain off of it, but just have it ready. And he was like, why? I said, we're about to go to this bridge. And I told him what bridge it was. I said, and I want you to, all of a sudden, while we're all standing out there, I want her to come across the bridge and I want you to crank on the chainsaw. He's like, all right, cool, let's do it. And so we gave him, a couple minutes lead time to get down there. They got everything set up. And so we get out of the car and we're doing everything we're supposed to. And the girls are like, no, this is, they call her name. Nothing's happening. I didn't realize that the bridge was like a quarter of a mile long. So, and the girl was starting at the other side and we were kind of on the opposite side. So when we were doing this, I was expecting it to be kind of quick. Well, it wasn't. And the girls were getting kind of anxious. They're like, this is stupid. It's not working. So one of the girls goes, yeah, this is stupid, but I got to pee. And I was like, well, we're out in the middle of freaking nowhere. It's not going to end well for you. And I said, well, just go back behind the car, I guess. And so she goes back behind the car and pops squat. And right about that time is when they make it across the bridge. And you hear one girl go, what is that? And using some choice language. What is that? And everybody starts screaming. And by that time they start screaming, my buddy cranked on that chainsaw and started running. Again, it was just the engine. The chain was off, but started kind of moving towards and they were hauling butt, running the other side. But that poor girl who had to go pee behind the car was mid squat. And you see her, because we knew, all the guys knew what was going on. Like I told them already, this is what's going to happen. So we weren't running, but everybody was running past us. And all of a sudden you look back and you see this girl with her pants down to her knees, running as fast as she can, screaming. And I was like, oh my God, this is better than I thought it was going to be. I mean, it was.
Could you imagine if you didn't know though?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you're on a bridge at night and there's this ghost looking thing coming at you. But even if you believe that somebody messing with you or it's just somebody cranks up a chainsaw and it's coming in your direction. I don't care. That's scary, period.
Oh, a bunch of the guys were like, it still scared them and they knew it was coming.
I know. Yeah. I'm like, there's a dude with a chainsaw. Go.
It was the greatest. Like he and the girl dressed in like a all white gown, like all the way to the ground, completely put, white powder in her hair and her face and everything to make it just authentic as all get out. And then he wore like a blacked out mask, like, those hooded masks that have just a black face on it. You know what I'm talking about? It's just
yeah.
And oh man, you talk about perfect. It was the greatest prank that I think I've ever been a part of. And for it to be on Halloween, oh man, it was great.
Dude, I don't think I can top that one, man. That one's serious.
This has been a great show, man. To reminisce about some of this stuff.
Absolutely. All right, I'll leave one little tidbit before we go. So this one didn't even happen in college. This was law school, first year. So I left college, went straight to law school. So it felt like the 5th year of college in a way, right? During spring break, we go on a spring break cruise to the Bahamas.
Oh, nice.
Okay, there's about 5 of us. And it's one of those party cruises. So it's all spring breakers. Okay, so it's party the whole time. You know, everybody drinking, as much food as you can have. There's tons of music, all that kind of stuff. Well, they have apparently something called Mr. Sovereign of the Seas. So it's a dance off in the dead center. So everybody piles around the decks on the boat, right? And it's got tiers up there, and there's this pool in the middle, and there's this shallow walking pool. And so it was a dance off, and so everybody threw down the challenge, right? And so a bunch of dudes went out there, and I used to could dance all right. So the group I was with pushed me out there, and I'm like, okay, let's do this, right? And it kind of went in a couple of rounds, and they peeled a few people off, and there it is, me and another dude in the finals, right? And they throw on the last song. And I was still, playing a lot of sports then and stuff, and still in decent shape and flexible enough because I stretched a lot, And I ended, the whole ship is around just like cheering us on. You feel like you're at the center of like the arena or something like that, And sure enough, I finish it out, drop down into a full split.
Oh,
boom!
Dang!
Place goes crazy, right? So needless to say, I won, right?
Dang.
We were on that boat for a whole week. This is at the beginning of the week. I, for 1 week, got to feel what it felt like to be a movie star.
You were a celebrity on the boat.
I am in so many people's spring break pictures because of that.
Awesome.
They put the medal on me and all that kind of stuff. And for the rest of the week, I was that guy. So no matter what, people buy me drinks. Everywhere I walk up, people are taking pictures with me.
That's awesome.
There you go. That
and
was,
you wore that medal the whole trip, didn't you?
Never took it off. I was not going to have anybody mistake me for not being the dude
that's awesome.
That won the Mr. Sovereign or whatever.
That's awesome. Well, this has been a great episode. I appreciate the listener for throwing this one in because it's always nice to just kind of cut loose from a lot of the serious stuff and be able to just talk about all the stupid stuff we've done.
Yeah.
But you have any parting words before we head out?
Just remind everybody, this one was fun, and this one came from you guys. So apparently somebody wanted to hear about what we did in college. So anyway, shoot us messages from our website, from our social media handles. We'll talk about what you want to hear about, and hopefully it'll entertain you.
Awesome. Well, we hope you enjoyed the episode. We hope to see you next time. Until then, goodbye.
Take care.
Thanks for listening to the Reschool'd podcast. Be sure to head over to reschool'd.com for news and other information on things we're getting into.